Good morning. We have for bid or purchase is a very nice RCBS green machine, progressive loader, and it's in 10 millimeter, which is rather an odd one. It comes complete with a homemade case feeder. Works very well. So the original rotary unit came off, which of course you had to hand fill all of them by hand. You simply insert, when you get it, this tube will be out of the machine for shipping purposes, to keep the height down, the size, so the shipping will be a little bit less. But when you get it, simply insert the tube, push it all the way down till it bottoms out, and that's ready to go. Now, a couple other modifications have been made. Firstly, the primer feeder on the original green machine was a terrible design. It caused about 98% of the problems on this machine. And this has simply been replaced with a Dillon primer tube feeder. It's a large one, of course, for the 10 millimeter, so this does use large primers. And also added to it is a follower rod that just follows the primers down. The next thing that was changed just a little bit is right over here. The bolt was taken out that holds this down. And with any of these progressive inline presses, there's always a tendency for the tool head to rock just a little bit. So in this case, when the tool head goes down, it goes down all the way, and you'll see there's just a little bit of spring here on this. Okay, that's because this bolt is backed up under the front edge of the die holder. This keeps your loads consistently the same length. Alright, another thing, there's been a little aluminum band put on the little dandy powder hopper. These powder hoppers are just a press fit over the metal housing, and after a while they have a tendency to crack, especially if you're not careful putting powder and etc. in them. So with that said, I'm going to take and get you up a little bit closer, and we'll look at the back and the rest of the machine. Alright, here's a look at the back of the machine. Not a lot to see, but you can see how the case feeder attachment was added. This one cap screw, you simply remove it. The pin here comes out with one Allen set. This whole thing lifts off for any reason. If you ever wanted to put it back to the original configuration, I'm not certain why you'd ever do that, but you could. Here are the disengage, engage pins for the powder rotor. And on the front you will notice that the top pin is marked with white, and so is the rotor. That's where you engage it. Make sure that it's engaged in that position. A couple oil holes here on the lower arm, a couple oil holes on the top. Just one drop of oil is all you need for quite some time. Okay, on this side you can get a good view of the primer feed tube. This is the unit that pre-seats the bullet in the mouth of the case. RCBS's original design was for it to totally seat it into place. It puts a lot of strain on this one link right here, and that was really the only thing I've ever had break on any of these machines I have. By just pre-seating it partially into the mouth of the case, then this last die, which is a Lee, crimps it and seats it to an exact setting that you determine. This is a chute that dumps the shell. So the way I start when I'm doing a loading session, I make sure I have primers in the primer feed tube, and it will hold 100. I only have 15 or so in here. Insert the guide rod make sure your powder hopper is full with the lid on, and take small hands full of brass and drop them into the brass feeder, and you'll see they quickly go down. And that's all there is to it. Okay, set your primer catch tray in place. This is the, take your bullet catch tray in place. Put your primer catch unit in place, and you're basically ready to go. So now I'm going to get a little bit closer. Hopefully you can see better. All right, here we go, and I'm sure the first thing I'll do is get in the way of the camera. So you start this process, brass in the hole. First time down, it brings out a case. Now I'm not sure you can quite see it or not. Okay, the first pull, it decaps it and sizes it, and it moves it to the next station. All right, now here it seated a primer, and of course you can't see it or anything, but now you want to engage your powder. And also up here there's white dots that I was talking about. Okay, so this pull, it's going to dispense powder, bell the mouth of the case so the bullet will seat easily into it. So this time, now we have powder in the case. It moves over, it put primer in here, move this one over, and now you simply drop a bullet in and operate the handle. Drop a bullet in, operate the handle. Now if I use my left hand, this would be much faster. So that's exactly how you load bullets on this 10mm unit. Now I hear people all the time tell about these outrageous amount per hour, but this unit will load 400 to 500 rounds an hour without a problem. Alright, now I ran out of bullets in my left hand, and I don't know if you can see it, but the cases are down here. Now I don't have any more cases, but at this time I would throw more cases in the case feeder when I pick up the next batch of bullets to load. And I always stop with the press down. Okay, all stations are covered up. So you won't forget if you put a bullet in here or whatever. Always stop with it down. Alright, then continue. And this is a little easier to do when it's not rolling around on a roll-around table, bolted down on a board with 2 C-clamps. So have to get more bullets in my hand, stop with it down, put more cases in, and continue. Now as you can see, the last 2 are coming up. Alright, now right here you have no more brass feeding over this way, so make sure and disengage the powder feed. Pull the 2 pins. If you don't do it, you will have powder all over in the transfer rails. And that's just how quickly this thing loads. Now it will come with a catch tray and a Dillon primer pickup tube. It'll have a primer pickup flip tray to get the primers oriented in the right direction, a small wrench for adjustment, an Allen wrench for adjustment, and an original RCBS machine cover. Thanks for watching. apologize for the terrible shaky video.